Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for our SIS Software Customer Webcast Series. Today, I'm pleased to introduce Anthony Spanikia from Solver BI360. Anthony will be presenting a newly released offering that provides a complete BI package with ERP budgeting capabilities for Dynamics SL. Anthony, the presentation is yours.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate this opportunity. And at the end, we will have Debbie's contact info for everybody, even though I think everyone knows Debbie. Wonderful. Well, we think this is going to run around 30-35 minutes, so it's going to move pretty fast. And what we're going to cover here is very quickly a little background on who Solver is. We make BI360. A couple key slides to put the product in perspective regarding the modular nature of BI360 and its architecture. And then we're going to spend most of the time on some live demos. So we're going to look at BI360 up close, looking at some key features of the different aspects of BI360. And at the end, we will even wrap up by showing you a little bit more information on where we can go from here. Wonderful. So here we go. Well, needless to say, to keep this short, what are the needs of modern organizations? They need good reporting, whether it's financial or operational. They need budgeting and forecasting. Most organizations do that. Some do it in Excel. At some point, they need a professional tool. And dashboards. Most companies today want to get some good graphical looks of key metrics, key indicators regarding the performance in their organization. We will cover that. That is what BI360 addresses. Okay, Solver. Who is Solver? It was formed in 1996 in Los Angeles. That is where we are headquartered. We have always been focused on BI solutions. That's all we've ever made. The product you're going to see today will be 7 years in the market, 7 years in September. And already we are up to 1,400 customers. We are now growing at slightly a tick over 1 new customer per day. BI360 is distributed through key partners throughout the US and the world like SIS Software. And we're in a we are growing quickly. I myself have been with the company 5 years. We've gone from 40 to 115 employees. It's a really fast-growing environment. We do have offices in 8 different countries. However, the vast majority of our customers are in the US. Regarding recognition, for the 3rd year in a row, as of several weeks ago, we are in Gartner Group's Magic Quadrant for Corporate Performance Software. That's where you find us. Our customer base is really dominated by Dynamics customers. So of the 1,400, I'm going to say 80% use Microsoft Dynamics. And thus, we have quite a broad and deep base of customers across industries. Lots of experience. 1,400 implementations at this point and growing quickly. One thing that's important to understand about BI360 is that it is a comprehensive modular suite. It's a comprehensive suite, but modular according to your needs. So if an organization is looking for a better reporting tool, then they may only implement reporting. If their main driver is to have improved budgeting and forecasting, they will implement the planning module. That's what we call planning. We have a data warehouse. Functionally, it acts as a data mart. It is not intended to cover and house every piece of information in the organization, but it is a staging area for great reporting, planning, and dashboards. And dashboards are part of our web portal, and we'll be looking at that shortly. So the important thing to understand is this is a modular suite. You get the pieces that you need, and you get the user counts that you need. It grows with you. Okay, a little bit of detail because this is important. Cover on a high level before we start looking at the product. When you are building a report in BI360 or a budget input template, of course an input template would be part of a budgeting workflow, you design it in Excel. We are inside of Excel. We don't export to Excel. We don't emulate Excel. We're in Excel. There's a lot of advantages to that as we'll be discussing. However, the end user experience does not have to stay in Excel. We have different options when you distribute your reports. They could be via Excel. Of course, you could just save an Excel sheet, share it with somebody, but you could put it on our web portal, as you're going to see shortly. And when you put a report on the web portal, it's also available on iOS and Android applications. We're going to talk about that. All the functionality carries forward, built in Excel. And likewise, when you build a budget model or forecasting model, it can remain in Excel but also be put on the web. And all of the end user experience, the workflow, the assignments, the managerial approval, etc., can be on the web, not just in Excel. So you have a couple different options. Now, another important thing to understand is we have some nice tools to make it easy to distribute your reports. We have something called Publisher. It's a piece of BI360, and it can automate the running and distribution of reports on particular days and times. And furthermore, you could set up security through the admin tool in BI360. We're integrated with Active Directory, by the way. And you can set up security not just for licensed users, but also for even unlicensed users. So reports would be executed, and as an example, you could run a single report, distribute it to 20 different people, and they all may get their own version of a report according to their security. So a manager may only see, for example, data relevant to their department, to his or her department. You don't have to create 20 reports. It runs one time, and like I said, this even applies to non-licensed users. The non-licensed users might receive just an executed Excel report, maybe a PDF. Of course, licensed users have some advantages. They'll be able to execute the reports on their own, rerun them, change parameters, as we're going to show shortly, and even have drill down to all the details in SL, the transaction details. Dashboards, as we discussed them here, we are talking about web-based dashboards as distinguished from all the dashboards that you can build in Excel. Excel is a very powerful, of course, graphical tool. Many of you are power users in Excel. You don't lose any of those skills. You can still build dashboards in Excel, but we also augment your options by offering you web-based dashboards. I will show that to you shortly. Some key features of the data warehouse are that it is very powerful for doing consolidations. For example, if you want to consolidate even sub-ledger information among different entities that you have, you can do that with the data warehouse. You're not limited to GL only. Also, a data warehouse may be handy in terms of running faster reports. If you have some very large demanding reports with hundreds or thousands of queries going back to SL, lots of calculations going on, it may make more sense to run it through the data warehouse. Optimize the report for speed in the data warehouse. This is a data warehouse optimized, or a data mart, shall we say, optimized for reporting and budgeting. It also has a very powerful currency engine for those of you who deal with multiple currencies. Now, another compelling feature of the data warehouse is that it has the ability to combine data beyond SL to use all of the impressive front-end tools that I'm going to show you shortly. So you're not limited to just SL data. You may have other applications today, legacy applications, maybe even non-SQL based applications, or you may have applications to come in the future that you don't even anticipate right now. The data warehouse provides a lot of advantages in terms of just on the back end. If in 3 years you have a new application, you port that new data into the data warehouse and the end user experience remains the same. And now the end users, whether they're doing reporting, forecasting, or dashboards, they now have new data easily available to them to incorporate into their applications. Now, I segued into this to talk about some of the features of the data warehouse, but let's get back to the fact that BI360 is an Excel add-in with a deep integration to SL. So as soon as you install it on, for example, a single laptop, which might take 15, 20 minutes, immediately it will report on your data in SL, right out of the box. Likewise, our dashboards, which are part of the web portal. The web portal sits on a web server behind your own firewall. And immediately, again, it is deeply integrated with SL. So you could immediately start building dashboards off of SL. But again, like I said, you are not limited to just SL data if you implement the data warehouse. In the past, we have up until 2 months ago, whenever a customer wanted to do budgeting and forecasting, they always implemented the data warehouse. This is where the whole workflow, managerial approval, and data was stored in the data warehouse. And then sometimes after they were done with the budget, they may want to push back the data into SL. This is a common option, and it's worked successfully. Over 60% of our customers use budgeting and the data warehouse. However, as Debbie mentioned, we have something exciting to announce. We have a new package which has some advantages. I will be getting into all the details of this. But we have a new development that allows you to do forecasting planning without the use of a data warehouse. So you're able to write, when you enter data, it's able to write directly back into SL. Why would this be an advantage? Well, if your needs for budgeting and forecasting are limited to GL only, it means a lower implementation, a quicker implementation. You don't have to set up the data warehouse. It's a quick install, and it writes right back to SL. I'm going to show you some of the details of this. So this is potentially a big advantage for those of you who don't need all of the benefits and advantages of the data warehouse. Not every organization needs it right away. This is a way to do your forecasting. And like I said, it's a matter of 2 to 4 day implementation doing it this way. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Let's now go over and start looking at BI360. We are going to start here in the web portal. Now, just before this webinar, I had logged in. And an end user, so we're going to look at it here from an end user's perspective. When they log in, by the way, you can see there's different views that they can choose from of the different reports or dashboards or budgets that would be in the web portal. The security is applied for each individual. So although an organization may have dozens to hundreds of reports and or dashboards, an individual may only see a handful according to their security. Okay, so let's look at a little bit of detail here. This is an Excel report. This report was built in Excel. The graphics carry over, the calculations carry over. And whenever someone clicks on a particular report in the web portal, they will see the report the last time it was run, but they could view any number of historical reports, last quarter, last year, etc. They all can be stored here, but a report can be refreshed at any time to capture all the latest transactions. And so this would be a current report. Now, the minimum you're going to see on a report design is at least choose an entity, some time period, and perhaps, for example, a budget scenario or a forecast scenario. And you can have many more parameters than these three, but these are typically going to be the minimum. You still, even on this online version, you still have drill down to all the transaction details that make up, for example, a summary item. Now, this report began in Excel, and it can easily go back to Excel. So this is a common request, is that people want to download what they see here. They can. And then this report, I'm going to go get it here. I have another screen. I'm going to launch this. We called it SIS. Here is the same report I just launched. And it is now back in Excel. All the graphics, formulas carry forward, which is typical that people may want to grab a report and start doing some kind of modeling with it. Everything carries forward. Started in Excel, goes back to Excel. That's all I was illustrating right there. Okay. Continuing with the web portal. Now, by the way, We're right now looking at our corporate demo model. We're up to 14 different industry models. So if we do a custom demo for you, it's very possible that we have example dashboards and reports that reflect that may perhaps mirror your industry. Okay, so like I said, we have lots of example reports. Let's just look at dashboards. I just want to look at a couple. Again, we're just moving quick to look at a high level and key features. It's an example of a dashboard that you may find interesting that you could create. By the way, dashboards are created by you in a half day of our 2-day basic training. In a half day, you'll learn how to build these. This is just one that might be a look at a high level your executives may want to see. Perhaps you want to see some key metrics on your own organization compared to the industry that you're in, and maybe some of your key competitors or similar companies. You want to see where you stand. Now in this case, this is taking data from the internet, perhaps Bloomberg or Yahoo Finance, and it's feeding into the data warehouse. So it's current information to get a quick look at some key metrics, where you stand. But you could have all kinds of dashboards according to your needs. Maybe a CFO likes naturally revenue, looks at revenue and expenses. These are all, again, these are just examples. You design this according to your needs. Our dashboards are dynamic. You can click on them and drill into the data behind it. So I looked at, I think, corporate Asia, and it broke out how the revenue is, and all dependent graphs change accordingly. And like I said, we have many example dashboards. Now, we're going to look at a couple different types of budget models you may want to set up. This is an example of an enterprise budget that goes beyond the GL. But at a minimum, you're going to have, for example, maybe some global assumptions tab. But the difference is all of your data entry here is done here online. You make the changes here online. I'm not going to save that. You can do personnel budgeting. And by the way, I mean, in a budget model, you can set it up for entity. You set up one model, but you can apply it to different departments, different entities, time periods, budget scenarios, and even forecast scenarios. So you can be very particular. You set up one budget model and apply it to many different groups. And for example, workflow is all here. This is just an example, a screenshot where a manager could see exactly who is where different individuals are in completing their assignments for a budget cycle. Okay, now I just want to jump over to another model here. And we'll log in. I just want to give you a quick peek at what this GL budgeting. So in this case, here's an example of, like I talked about, the direct right back to the ERP budgeting. It's going to be GL only. So you're not going to do personnel budgeting, but it doesn't mean you can't have a complex budget with the ability to enter data, add comments, and save comments, and spread your different data. I'm going to go into further with budgeting here in Excel example shortly, but many different spreading techniques, etc. So you can still have a complex, deep budget here using this new package that I talked about, and the same sort of example in terms of workflow. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's now jump over to Excel. That's all I'm going to discuss for the moment on the web portal. Now let's look at Excel. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, BI360 is literally an Excel add-in. It shows up as a new tab in your Excel. From an end user's perspective, a licensed end user, they're going to always see this Run tab, and it's going to offer them parameters on a particular report the way the report was designed. The report was designed by the power users in the organization. But an end user, they can still change parameters, change entity, again, budget scenarios, forecast scenarios if you have multiple ones in different time periods. and they can run it this way. Furthermore, just like online, they can always drill down to see details, all the SL transactions that make up a particular number. And furthermore, an end user could, as they are wont to do some modeling, play around with the report, look at some different scenarios. But even if they do this, they start editing here in Excel, they have not affected the actual report. Once they rerun it, according to the parameters they select, it's actually going to go back and capture the actual transactions, and now you're going to have an accurate report, reflects the details, the actual transactions. And like I said, we're built in Excel, so this is just Excel formatting. I'm going to show you a more complex example of a report. Now, a power user sees this tab, the design tab. And a power user is able to drag and drop all of the data in SL, or if they're reporting off of the data warehouse, all of the data that you want to have available for report design is here. And it's a matter of drag and drop what data you want in the report. But the formatting itself is still Excel. Now this is a very advanced report writer, uses XML technology. We have something we call dynamic rows and columns. That's exactly what they are. So you can even, besides just, for example, specifying a particular account that you want in a report, you can specify ranges. So in this case, you could even specify all of the 4,000 accounts, for example, for revenue. Now by doing this, by specifying ranges, if in SL you add account 41100, you don't have to worry and think, I have to go back and now update all my reports. No, if you add it in SL, it's now going to show up the next time you run the report because it falls in the range. So let's run it. Please note when I do this, look at line 12. We did a single line of report design there. We run it. And line 12 is now going to expand to reflect all of those 4,000 accounts. It's dynamic. Dynamic rows and columns according to your needs. And likewise, there were some other ranges specified. So that's what happened in this report. Okay, let's look at now another, maybe even more interesting report. So this is an example of a report. This is a very vast, big report. I have not run this yet. But this is an example of a board book. We call it Decision Pack. But this has many different tabs of information in it. And by the way, it even has a tab here we call Auto Narrative that actually you're going to see this is very generic right now. We have adjectives tied to ranges of performance so that when we run this report, and by the way, this is a very big report. It takes about 11 seconds to run. But this is now going to be automatically written for you. So let's run this. Like I said, it takes a little while to run just because there's a lot of data and calculations going on here. It takes about 11 seconds. But for any of you accountants out there that have had to write summaries of different spreadsheets that you distribute, because not everyone understands all the implications of what's in a spreadsheet, potentially you could have this automatically written for you, auto narrative. And so now you see, hey, profitability was great, etc. The graphs, adjectives all adjust according to actual performance during that time period. I mentioned before, there's a lot of powerful graphics in Excel. Great. They can all be part of BI360 reports. We're an Excel add-in. So your Excel skills still come into play and they don't go to waste. You're 80% trained if you know Excel. Now this is just, like I said, an example. And you'll see in many of our example reports, we like to have a lot of stoplights. All this formatting is Excel. I'm repeating that again. By the way, I'll show you later, we have large packages of reports that you can download that will run right out of the box on Excel. I'll show you that in our customer portal here shortly. So, just like I said, these are actual dashboards. They're different than the web-based dashboards. They're written here in Excel. But by the way, If you utilize the data warehouse, then these dashboards are not even limited to just data. So, like I said, a lot of information. Just the only reason I showed you this report to give you an idea of how big and vast your reports can be in BI360. There's no limit. We have a cliche, but it's true. If Excel can do it, we can do it. Okay, now quickly moving over. Let's look at planning, which is budgeting and forecasting. So again, it shows up as a new tab in Excel. Typically, again, from an end user's perspective, they are going to have assignments. It's budget season, for example. Most organizations do it in the fall, not all. But an end user gets their assignments. Maybe they're going to have 30 or 60 days to complete them. They may get some directions along with their assignments, how to enter their data, etc. But they will be able to see what they've completed, what they have to do and what they've completed. That's part of assignments. Now, again, this budget model was set up with some parameters like entity, department, time period, budget, and forecast. So, like I said, this can be replicated among your many different departments easily. In this case, this is Excel-based, this is database-driven. The data is all stored in a database for review and approval. Now, again, this is Excel, the way most organizations at some point, at least when they started, typically started by building their budgets in Excel so they can just start entering data directly. I mean, these are just, you can enter formulas, etc. And that's probably how you've done it. However, you can go even a little bit deeper and there's other features. We add. And so we have this enter data button, which now is going to give us options to have a lot of spreading techniques available to us right out of the box, as well as be able to add detailed comments. So this can speed up the data entry. So in this case, the top item is just a matter of the sum of particular items. If it's conferences and seminars, whatever applies to your industry or whatever you're thinking that you want to budget for, you can, like I said, out of the box, be able to have many spreading techniques available to you. You can make adjustments to growth. You can make, okay, we'll just change it. I think last time we did 3%. And you can have comments. Well, we're going to do a 4% increase per manager or whatever detail you want. These comments are going to be saved forever. You hit Update Excel. And it lets us know that it is now updated Excel. Great, we can close this, for example. And now this new data with comments are entered. Okay, that's just a small slice of a budgeting process when you do it in Excel. Great. Let's keep moving and look at some other interesting things that you should be aware of. Okay, let's get this up. There we go. So now, perhaps some of you have visited Solver USA or solverglobal.com. And when you do, there's all kinds of little videos and information that you can get about our products and applications. Very helpful. However, behind it is our customer portal. And in here, there is so much information that you should feel good about if you were to become a BI360 customer. As an example, we have a huge library of training videos. Now, most customers are going to get a couple days of on-site training by a trainer, scripted training that walks you through how to build reports, learning the basic skills. This is just for your power users. And that's great because we know at the end of 2 days you are going to be successful. There's really no doubts. But we have a lot of online options too, which perhaps are used just as a reference. You learn a new tool, you use it a lot, but then some months go by, you haven't, you start to forget, like any application. But we have, like I said, at this point now 94 videos, and these are high quality videos, both audio and video. These are appropriately paced videos. that walk you through how to build so many different reports. And like I said, this is growing all the time. Only a couple weeks ago we had 90. So this library continues to grow. How to build reports, budget templates, dashboards, to work with the data warehouse, a huge high-quality library of training videos. We also have other resources, countless install guides, user guides, white papers. For any of you that hear about or are interested in Power BI, we have a recent white paper that explains how we work with Power BI. It's a complementary product to BI360. Power BI is an advanced data visualization tool, and it can be used in conjunction with BI360. Power BI is not a reporting and budgeting tool like I've been showing you. I mentioned earlier that we have packages of reports that you can download. So if they're zip files, these reports you can download and they will run right out of the box. We also have, oh, by the way, in here you can open up tickets, check the status of tickets, etc. Support tickets. Also, you should be pleased to know, I have it on a PowerPoint slide, but I'm diving right into it. We have an annual user conference. Our fourth one is coming up, third week of August this year. It's going to be in La Jolla, California at the Torrey Pines Hilton. It is 2 full days, 4 simultaneous knowledge tracks, 45-minute sessions, 15-minute breaks, every user level. We have people come who are not even customers yet, who want to come, get close to our customers, our management, our developers. Everyone is there from our organization, all key people, and you'll be able to network with other SL users. So typically, and we do segment, we have areas where SL users can gather, GP users, you can gather together according to your ERP, and do a lot of networking and build some, what I've seen over the years, some strong relationships among our customers. But again, it's just good for you to know that we have one, that this is available to you. You may not want to come every year. Some customers come every year. But if you add new people, you may want to send them, or periodically. It's just good to know that you can show up at a user conference. And just like the training videos, all of the most interesting trainings and courses that go on are recorded and made available to you here. Great. So we have a very powerful customer portal. So you can feel good that if you implement BI360, there's a lot of support resources for you. Okay. Let's come back here and talk a little bit more about this package now. Pardon me. My computer's a little bit slow here. Let's get this up. So I was talking about this special package. I'm going to jump ahead and show you this. So this is a special, we have, like I said, you have ERP budgeting and data warehouse budgeting. To put it simply, ERP budgeting is less complex. It's GL only. For extremely complex budgeting, you would use data warehouse budgeting. But we have come out with a special package that goes way beyond budgeting. To introduce this new package, we are offering the web portal. The full web portal that I showed you is available to you. The full reporting, not GL only, the full powerful BI360 reporting tool is included. And then also the ERP budgeting. We have a special introductory 5-user package of this, $10,750. It's good through the end of the year. It's a 40% off on this. But even without the 40% off, it's an incredible package when you consider it. This is a full BI package for your organization. Full reporting, Excel-based reporting. You can still put it on the portal if you want, but full reporting. Dashboards, just like I showed you, and a budgeting tool for GL budgeting. The GL budgeting is all done through the web, like I showed you. So it's an amazing package, and by the way, there's no limit to how many users you want for this. So if your organization, if this fits and suits you, either for the long term or as an introduction, I mean, you could have 20, 30 users using this incredible package. You can add extra users. It's really remarkable what's in this package, and we're not aware of anything in the marketplace. A complete BI package for $10,000 plus implementation. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about implementation. On this particular package, we estimate that it would be modest for just implementing the budget because it's GL only. It's really a matter of setting up your chart of accounts. So it's very limited in that respect. You may want to get additional training beyond maybe the one-day training for the budgeting. Maybe you want to have some deeper dive training on reporting. But the point is the implementation is probably going to be modest compared to a much larger implementation. But to be sure about all this, that is why we always have a meeting with you and SIS, and we go through the details and scope of your particular project. So we always, before we make a sale, we like to be able to do a good estimate. So a line item estimate of what it's going to cost to implement, so you can feel good about it. You'll feel good that our team and SIS are very clear on the scope and expectations for the project, that we really do have our heads around it, and you can ask a lot of questions. And they may offer you different options on how we implement, different versions of training and scope of training and scope of the project. So typically in your process, as you evaluate a solution, you're going to get an implementation estimate. Now, as far as the software side goes, and by the way, this implementation estimate really is a 30 to 60-minute phone call. Don't be intimidated. Our staff has been through this, like I said, 1,400 implementations. SIS has experienced staff. We've done this so many times, we know what to ask. So it's a matter of just getting on the phone with you and discussing the scope of the project. So don't be intimidated. It's easy to come up with this cost and time frame. And likewise, software. Debbie and I get a feel for, we find out exactly what modules within BI360 you need and the nature of your users, how many users you have and what are the capabilities the different users need. Basically, we fill out an order form and we're able to generate a software estimate pretty easily and quickly as well. So just be aware of that. So usually what happens is organizations that come to us, it's because Debbie or someone at SIS has recommended our solution. They think it's suitable for them. It may start with a webinar like this. We will do custom demos for you to your content. If you need to see a little bit more detail or a lot more detail on particular items of concern, particular types of reporting, maybe if it's budgeting, how you do different allocations, who knows what it is, we always will review and do demos to your content so you feel very comfortable and confident. So once we get through that process, we can generate cost estimates for you quite easily. So in that case, at that point, you would be contacting Debbie Peavy. So thanks so much, everyone, for taking the time to watch this video. It seems it's very convenient, so you could watch it. You may want to share it with others in your organization. And like I said, you can follow up with Debbie for help to explore using BI360 and evaluating BI360 for your organization. So Debbie, thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to your group. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Just want to thank everyone for taking time to join us today. We appreciate it. As you can see, my name and number and emails on the screen. I'll be happy to answer any question, or we could even schedule, like Anthony said, a personalized demonstration. Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.